Hello, it is me, Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and I am here today. I'm going to do a reading today, and I don't have a fixed plan yet. My idea is I will use some tarot cards and some Hebrunes and some oracle cards, and I think I'm going to start with some Hebrunes. I'm going to just take a set of wooden Hebrunes and I'm going to lay down 3 of them. And we're going to choose based on each of these letters what your reading will be. All right. So our 3 letters today are the letter Beit, which is the letter that means house or home. The letter Pei, which is the letter that means mouth or communication. And we have the Eyn Sof, which means the infinite or that without end. And I'm going to take out a sovereign oracle card to go with each of these as well, so that you have an idea maybe in words that might be useful for you. So let's see, 3. There's 1. Too many. 2. 3. All right, and I'll flip these over and read them as well. The first card is Foundation. The second card is Taboo. And the third card is Evolve. So take a moment to decide which of these letters and which of these cards you would like a reading about for the month of February that's coming up, 2023. The Beit and Foundation, the Pei and Taboo, and the Eyn Sof with Evolve. And I will see you in your reading. All right, for folks who chose the letter Beit and the Foundation card, let me tell you a little bit more about the letter Beit. It is representative of a house or the home. It is the number 2 in Gematria. It's the second letter in the alphabet, but it is also the first letter of the Torah. Bereshit is the word meaning in the beginning. So it's representative of a house. You can see in the Paleo Hebrew, it sort of looks like the floor plan of a house here. And it's about where we dwell. It also has the binary foundation of life and death, and that continuum between life and death, where we come into the world, dwell for some time, and then we leave. So it's about where our soul dwells, and that could be our body. If we can think about, this is wherever I go, I've got my body with me as my home. It is the mouth in the body. It represents the mouth in the body. And it governs over the day of Shabbat in the calendar. So it's about the day of rest. And Shabbat is spelled Shin, Beit, Tav. And so it has the word Beit in it, B, the B and the T, which is, and Shav, which is Shin and Vet, means to sit. So it's about sitting in one's home. It also rules over the planet Saturn in the sky. I affiliate it with the matriarch Sarah, who is the partner of Abraham. And she made her home wherever she dwelt, and she invited guests in when they came. So I think of Sarah as being affiliated with Beit as the home. In my understanding of how it corresponds to the traditional tarot cards, I affiliate Beit with the World card, because it is our dwelling place. It's about the beginning and the end, and life and death. So we have this idea of this binary foundation of life and death, and where we fall on that continuum, and will we choose life each day. So that's what our letter is about. And we have the card that says foundation. And that card reads, lay the concrete first, establish patterns, create coherency and stability, know that you deserve sustainability, allow it in. So it's about building a strong foundation for our home wherever we are. And that can be about a literal foundation for a dwelling place, or it can be about a foundation for how we live. So with the letter Beit and the foundation, I'm going to set these off to the side here. And we're going to take out a tarot card or two that will give us some guidance about where we're going in the month of February. I'm just going to shuffle and see what comes out today. Okay, let's start with these three cards. First card coming up is the Nine of Vessels and Generosity. The second card is the Five of Vessels with Ecstasy. And the third card is the Queen of Arrows, Swan. Let's look at these cards as they pertain to the letter Beit and foundation. The Nine of Vessels is, it's often said it's a wish fulfillment card. It's the card that shows abundance. We have this person sitting, having received all of these vessels, and now having generosity to give back to the world. And that's one of the blessings of having a solid foundation, of having a stable home, that one has the ability to be generous in the world. We have the Five of Vessels, Ecstasy. Traditionally, the Five of Vessels is the Five of Cups, and it's not about ecstasy, but here we are looking at this card. So here's this person who has put down their cups. They seem to be glowing, either with fire or some magic elixir, and this person indulging in dancing and under the stars with ecstasy. So in this case, another situation where one is incredibly comfortable in their skin, feeling safe to dance, having laid out this pentagram and created a boundary around which they are safe, feeling safe in their home, feeling safe in their body, to perform this ecstatic ritual. And the other card we have here is the Queen of Arrows. It's traditionally the Queen of Swords. And she can be seen as isolated, sometimes a little harsh even, but look how beautiful and graceful she is. She swims in the water. And she may have been, you know, if you know the story of the ugly duckling who was ridiculed as a young swan because she didn't look like the rest. Because she wasn't a duck. She was a swan, and when she came into her beauty, everyone was astonished and hopefully ashamed of how they had treated her. So the Queen of Arrows is someone who has the self-possession to be beautiful, to be graceful, maybe to be independent to the point of being alone, but knowing her own worth after a childhood of disdain. So the way I'm reading this, we have this foundation where we are encouraged to lay the concrete first, to find a solid, stable foundation for our home. A place where we can feel safe, to set up those boundaries and borders, and know that we deserve stability and sustainability. Where there's some generosity coming in. Cups are coming. Once we have this foundation of stability, there'll be the ability to feel safe enough to dance, to be ecstatic with joy for being who we are, even on our own, and maturing to this beautiful and graceful future. So where I'm sitting, it looks like February is the time to establish that foundation, to really, really know your own deservingness, that you will have abundance coming in, that there'll be a moment of ecstasy, a time when you're safe, feeling comfortable in your own skin, and by the end of the month, maturing into this grace and beauty and strength and independence. So for those of you who chose the Beit and Foundation card, this is your reading for February. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Hello. For those of you who chose the letter Pei, like I said in the introduction, it is a mouth and about communication, but it's also about creation through communication. It is said to be the mouth of the divine, speaking the world into existence. It is a spiral, so it's about that which goes around and spirals in and infinitely out as well. It's the number 80 in Gematria. So the number 80 is about infinity, 8 being the number that when you put it on its side looks like an infinity symbol, but also one that is one more than the number of days of creation. So we have this idea of infinite as well within the letter Pei. And it's about time. The word for time in Hebrew is pa'am. It has the binary foundation transformation of grace and ugliness. So there's something about that continuum between beauty and ugliness that we see in this letter as well. So the divine in the Torah creates through speech. In the very first book, it says, God said, let there be light, and there was light. And it's about this being able to create your reality with words. by speaking into existence what you want to see in the world. And that could be through journaling. It could be through just manifestations of affirmations or incantations, saying how you would like things to be instead of speaking about how you don't want things to be, the desire to express gratitude and blessing rather than cursing, blessing what you have and what you would like rather than cursing what you don't have or what you do have and don't like. I see it as a labyrinth that spirals infinitely in and infinitely out. And I think of it as also being connected to the face. The word for face in Hebrew is paneh. And since it is that binary foundation of grace and ugliness, how do we perceive ourselves in the world? Do we perceive ourselves with beauty? How do we perceive others? What is the face that we're showing to the world? And how do we perceive faces that are being shown to us? It is the letter that rules over the planet Venus in the sky, so there may be some feminine strength and energy coming in. And I see it as corresponding to the matriarch Leah. She was the mother of many of the tribes of Israel, and she was perceived to be less beautiful than her sister, and yet she was given the first marriage to Jacob, and she was also given more children than Rachel. So she triumphed over what was as perceived ugliness. Perhaps she said that she had weak eyes. We don't know what that means, whether she had difficulty seeing or she just wasn't as beautiful in the eyes as Rachel. But she triumphed over that and continued to speak the names, through her names of her children, her gratitude into the world. And my understanding of how these Hebrunes correspond to the traditional tarot, I see Pei as representing the Hierophant, as the mouthpiece of divinity and a spiritual teacher. And also about belief systems that you may have picked up or imparted or created for yourself. So it's about the mouth, communication, creation through speech. And interestingly, the card that came up with this, the Oracle card, is Taboo. It says, take on the role of sacred rebel. Release the need to make others comfortable. Explore the fringes with pride, especially if it makes you nervous. So how interesting is taboo in correspondence with the Pei here? So maybe we're saying things that are making others uncomfortable. We're saying what we need to say out loud in order to create what we want to see in the world. So I'm going to set these off to the side, our Pei and our Taboo. And what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle the Wildwood Tarot deck and pull out 3 cards that will tell us a little bit, give us a little bit of a foreshadowing about what's coming up for February. All right, let's take a look at our tarot cards for today. We have the 8 of Stones with skill. We have the Pole Star. And we have the Ace of Vessels with Waters of Life. So as I'm looking at these cards with regards to communication and taboo. I'm seeing the Eight of Stones here, which corresponds to the traditional tarot card, the Eight of Pentacles, and about skill. So this person is honing their craft. They are creating a variety of artistic pieces. We've got some lamps up here and some bowls and maybe some arrowheads and a figure of a goddess. And they are working in stone, crafting. And they've got a handprint on the wall as well. So they're crafting and honing their skill, just spending a lot of time making maybe the same thing over and over again, maybe trying new things. They're trying things that maybe they haven't tried before, or working really hard on the same thing over and over again to create, to, again, hone their skill. It's not so much about the pieces that they're generating, but about their ability to continue to create. And since pay is about creation, it seems like that is what we're talking about, is how do we hone our skill to create? What vision do we have that we'd like to see in the world? And how can we work to manifest in the world what it is that we want to see? And in regards to the taboo card, I'm thinking it has to do with listening to one's inner self without worrying about judgment from others, without worrying about pleasing anyone else. Taking on the role of sacred rebel to create what we want to see in the world. So that's up for February. Honing skill. The pole star. So this is the star card, and it's about hope. It's about finding your way on the path. You can see this person is walking into the trees on this path. And they're following that star. They're following the light, their inner light, and the outer light in this case as well. But following the light of guidance is coming to them from above, from the sky, from the heavens, from divinity, and from inside. Everything points toward the pole star. It's our way of finding our way in the world, navigating by looking up to that North Star. So there's something really important this month about finding guidance from the divine and from within yourself without, again, worrying about what others need or want from you in the world. Listening for the voice of the divine to speak and following when you hear that voice, but continuing to listen for it as well. And we have the Ace of Vessels, which is about a new beginning. It's the Ace of Cups, and it says waters of life, which in Hebrew is Mayim Chaim. It is the creation element of water. And water is about emotion, about just to have feelings. And in this picture, we have a picture of an elk or a caribou of some kind drinking that water, and elks are about protection. And back here we have that swan. And you know the story of the swan is about this baby swan that got mixed in with a bunch of ducklings and was considered ugly, the ugly duckling when they were small. And then as they grew and matured and became this gorgeous, beautiful creature, everyone was shocked after having mocked them at how beautiful and graceful. And since this is about the foundation of grace and ugliness, I think the swan being here is really important. So we have a new beginning where we find our value and our worth without worrying about, again, what other people think. Taking on that role of the sacred rebel and releasing what makes other people comfortable. We have this new beginning for ourselves. A new beginning about love and emotions, and finding strength and protection and comfort and nourishment in these waters of life. So what I'm seeing for February for you is to take the time to really consider what it is you want to see. Find your guidance. Work on crafting your skill in creating what it is you want to see in the world. Don't worry about what other people want from you. Explore the fringes with pride, the card says, especially if it makes you nervous. So go ahead and take a walk on that path toward that guiding star. Spend some time journaling or using affirmations or incantations to bring into the world what you want to see without worrying about what other people want to see. Even if you've been mocked or chided as being not good enough in the world, now is your time to shine. Now is your time to find the beauty in yourself, regardless of what others think, and walk forward into the infinite, into that infinite space and time. Really spiral in. You can see that pay and the stars spiraling out and spiraling in. Find your place. Remember to bless rather than to curse, and to speak what it is you'd like to see and what it is you're grateful for rather than the things you don't like or want to curse. And when you do that, you're going to find a new beginning with love and beauty in your life. So for those of you who chose the letter Pay and the Taboo card, this has been your reading for February. We hope to see you again next time. Hi, for those of you who chose the blank Hebrune, the Eyn Sof, it doesn't look blank because this piece of wood is so beautifully gnarled and has such gorgeous markings on it. But it's this Eyn Sof, which means that without end. It is about boundlessness, and it's about the void, the tohu vavohu, that which existed before time, timelessness, and primordial chaos, that the deep place to home from which we all come. So it's really about infinity. It's about the time before creation, where there was only oneness, that all of existence and matter and time is fashioned from oneness. It's about the divine contracting themselves, tzimtzum, to make space for creation, but this time before that. And that eternal, that we all are made from the same stuff, that we all will be the one again. There is no corresponding tarot card to the Eyn Sof, but there is a Nordic rune that corresponds. It's called Weird, and it means fate, destiny, the number 0, and the void, an infinite possibility. So that is lovely. I love the infinite possibility for you. And then the card that came out, the oracle card that came out for that, it says Evolve. Favor incremental changes over quantum leaps. Further maturation may be required to meet your goal. Celebrate your new self and honor any grief in releasing the old. And that's gorgeous with the infinite here, because we have this ability to evolve toward that new self. That we can take our time, because time is a construct and does not actually exist. So I'm going to set the Eyn Sof and Evolve over here to the side, and we're going to shuffle the Wildwood Tarot and pull out 3 cards to help us illuminate what the month of February might bring for us today. That one wants to come too. And let's get one more. There it is. Okay. Our first card is the Nine of Bows with respect. Wow. Our second card is the King of Bows with adder. And our third card is the Ancestor. I love that. So as I'm looking at your reading here, what I'm seeing is the Nine of Bows is traditionally the Nine of Wands, and wands are about fire. This says respect on it, and you can see this person's looking a little wild here, as if they're protecting themselves, that they have clearly been mishandled, perhaps. And so they're feeling very protective. They've got their antlers on, which are a sign of protection. And I'm trying to see what else, some amulets on their body, bones. And they've got their arrow is already strung on their bow, so they're ready to fight. They're being very protective. They've got a shelter in the back made up of the rest of the bows and some large trees that are also protecting them. So it's about protection. It's about being wary of the world and commanding respect in this case. How this corresponds to the Eyn Sof and the Evolve card. You know, there's a certain amount of defensiveness that you're coming into this month with already, that perhaps you feel the need to protect yourself, and that's valid. Clearly there's been some harm or trauma or wounding that's come before now, but it's also encouraging you to favor incremental changes. So things don't have to change immediately. Again, time is a construct, that maybe it's time to stay protected, respect yourself, and respect the timing of the divine. That there's this infinity that is here. There's this infinite nature that's here. And whatever needs to happen will happen in its own time. So what I'm seeing, the Nine of Bows, the respect here is asking you to respect yourself, your own ability to walk through the world, and divine timing and understanding, continuing to remember that there is no time, big picture. And it feels, things seem very urgent and important a lot of time in the moment, but big picture, time is a construct, and we can allow ourselves to mature and honor the new self that is coming in. The King of Bows, we have the adder, interestingly, and not just one, but a lot of snakes here. And adders are venomous, so they are dangerous. They are, the bows tend to be about fire. They are the wands in the traditional tarot. So the bite from a adder is going to be quite hot and fiery and possibly deadly. And this is the king, so he's got all this power. He's got all this power, and also sexual energy is involved in bows. So there's a certain amount of maturation that is going on, and just feeling safe and content, knowing that you're safe. If you are the adder, nothing is going to harm you. You have this prowess and this ability to hold your own. That there has been this maturation. As it says in the Evolve card, further maturation may be required to meet your goal. And so coming up from the Nine of Bows, from when one is demanding respect and just stepping into the place of adder and knowing that you already have that respect if you give it to yourself. So there's a maturing that's happening here in the month of February. And then we have the ancestor, and that's even further maturation. The ancestor is the traditional Hierophant in tarot. But in this case, we've got this beautiful stag, and you can see, or maybe it's a doe. I know that reindeer, the females keep their antlers in the wintertime, and it looks like winter here. We've got a low moon on the horizon, and she appears to be breasted as well. So we have this female protector. She has her shaman drum and a bone that she's using to strike it. So, and antlers are always about protection. So as we walk through this winter time, this cold darkness, we can know that we are protected, that our ancestor, that we have become the ancestors, that we are living our lives in order to become ancestors for the next generations. But we can also call on our ancestors to come in and protect, to be there with us as we walk through toward the infinite. It's a gorgeous card. I don't know whether the colors are significant to the author, to the artist, but as I'm seeing it, we've got this kind of gray blue dress underneath, which looks like the sky. It looks like the infinite, and then this white covering, which is tattered but also beautiful, and then a pelt, it looks like, on the belt, this sort of this brownish red color. And those are the colors that are traditionally depicted in a Madonna painting, the blue being the heaven, the white being purity, and the red being the kernel of the human in this earth. So I love that the colors of the goddess are here. So what I'm seeing for you in the month of February with these cards and this Eyn Sof is that there's an evolution happening, that you're evolving toward infinity, that you have been injured, that you've been trying to demand respect. But as I've said, it seems like you need to learn to respect yourself, that there's this defensiveness that you will mature out of and know that you're protected, that you no longer need to stand around with your bow strung all the time, that you will be the mature power that protects yourself just by your existence, that you are becoming this incredibly powerful, fiery king. And then maturing even further into the protector itself, into the ancestor role, where you can stand solid and know that you are safe, and that know that you are available to protect others as well. So as you move through your evolution from wounded warrior to sovereign to ancestor, you have the ability and the imperative to, as it says in the card, celebrate your new self and honor any grief in releasing the past and the old self. And I think that's a beautiful reading for the month of February for those of you who chose the Eyn Sof and the Evolve card. I wish you well, and I hope to see you here next time.